So, the World Cup's changed again. Yesterday, suddenly, out of absolutely nowhere, Flanders Classics, the organisers of the World Cup, and the UCI, the organisers of the World Cup, together announced 3 changes to the UCI World Cup for the upcoming season, with 3 rounds being dropped and replaced by other races, a mere month before the competition starts. So today, let's quickly run through the 3 changes that have been made, starting with the first one in the calendar, which is the 4th round of the competition, in Rucphen. The Dutch round of Rucphen will be replaced by another round in Belgium, as we head to Maasmechelen. As far as I'm aware, there's never really been a cross race in Maasmechelen. Zonhoven is just round the corner, and it's never really made sense to host 2 events here. However, apparently now it does. The cross will seemingly be held in Ter Hills, which is a former mining and industrial gravel digging site, but nowadays is a much more green and much more climate neutral area. The idea of the cross as well is to become the very first climate neutral World Cup race, which we'll see if they get it done, but it's a very nice goal to have. As far as the actual course and the layout, there's really not much known yet. The whole thing is still sort of being built, but we do at least know fairly certainly that the financial picture is sorted out, as that seems to be what's caused Rucphen, one of the cheaper crosses on the calendar, to drop out for this year. The fact that they haven't been able to organise enough financials to organise the race. The next round that is brand new is one in December, and it's one replacing a new round that never really has come to be. There was a whole lot of murmur about a World Cup race being held in London. However, unfortunately this appears to not be possible due to some issues within the organisation of the race. They couldn't find a place to host it. As a result, the race is moving to Dublin in Ireland in the 2019-20 season, if I recall, or maybe the year after. Dublin was poised to host the first ever Irish World Cup. However, the COVID-19 pandemic came in and sort of ruined most of that season, and as a result the Irish cross never happened, and most people thought that it was dead and buried. But luckily they've managed to resurrect it. The cross will now seemingly be held at the Sport Island campus out in the West End, somewhere on the edge of Dublin. The campus is currently already host to all kinds of sporting things, a bunch of football and hockey pitches, there is a dressage course, there's a cross-country running section as well, and the National Triathlon Board appear to be featured there as well, according to Google Maps anyway. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing really known about the details of the route, but it's an interesting place to hold a race, and I'm definitely curious to see what our very first Irish cross race will put together. And whilst the other 2 changes so far fill me with a sense of curiosity, the final one just makes me really quite happy, as on Boxing Day, Dendermonde has left the calendar, something that I'm not too worried about, and it's being replaced by Gavere, one of the most famous and well-known crosses of them all, is being moved even closer to the centre of the action in the middle of the season, and is now part of the World Cup. It also means that Javer has left the Super Prestige rather unceremoniously, leaving the Super Prestige with only 6 races, so that's a whole thing that they'll have to solve. But the absolutely iconic course that last year was palmed out to the edge of February was left completely on its own, and seemingly was almost being killed off, has now been put right at the centre of the season in the biggest competition in cross. I think it's brilliant. It's all a bit bizarre how everything's sort of suddenly changed again. Seemingly Dendermonde has ran into similar problems to Rucphen, where they've not been able to financially get everything together to organise the race. But I'll be honest, this isn't the worst change in the world. This is very much one of the changes that I'm okay with. Javer, in its stature and in its historical relevance to cross, is a World Cup race, even if it's never been part of it, because it was always part of the Super Prestige, which is sort of the old outdated World Cup. But it's a race that belongs at the absolute highest level, and the fact that it's there is pretty good. And so there you've had it, the 3 sudden, unexpected, ridiculous changes to the World Cup that might somehow make it even more interesting than it already is. This isn't the best video I've ever put out, it's not the most factually checked, because I've had to sort of fling it out suddenly, out of a sense of panic. So I might amend some little mistakes in the comments, but I don't think I've made any as I'm recording it right now, although I'm sure I have. If you've got any more questions, feel free to ask away in the comments. If you've got any additions and any things that I have said wrong, feel free to add them in the comments. If you want to hear and watch more cyclocross related content, feel free to subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one, when again there'll be some ridiculous calendar change, because apparently that's a thing we do now. Thank you and goodbye.